Hey, Steve Bizek Architect. Yeah, we're out here. Now, I apologize. I don't have my mic, so I don't want to hear you need better mics. This is kind of an ad hoc video. I've been driving by and I was like, man, I got to stop here and just shoot a really quick video because they're doing something that I have a number of questions for. So you can see here, they're using a tough and dry system, and I know there's a waterproofing behind it, and it appears that that's, I don't know, I think that might be their 2 3/8 inch insulation. Now they're putting it on there for insulative purposes, which I have a problem with, because you can see here what happens here. How do they cover that? But more importantly, if we walk down here, and this is one of the problems I have with exterior insulation, right? When I come to the bulkhead here, that insulation just goes and it stops there. All of this, I mean, they have some insulation around it, but still, that's exposed. This face is exposed to that face. It pretty much blanks out any idea of continuity. And then this is how I think I know why they are going to, or are using this as insulation. You can see here they have it in the garage, and it goes there and it stops, and you can see it stops right at the top of that wall where the full foundation stops. But what happens with this wall? I mean, that's a total thermal bridge, and if I come in here, that insulation stops right there, and it stops right there. There is nothing insulating this. So, this is kind of one of those things where somebody is advocating, well, it is insulation and it is installed on the foundation, but that doesn't mean it's put in a position to succeed, or a position for success, as I would like to say, as I pan across here, right? You can see it there, and it's not at the garage, and this is in fact the garage. You can see there's the shear, bolts, and this is pretty much the grade, because when I look at the neighbors here, we're pretty much graded to that. So the real question is, what are they doing here? Now, I happen to know the builder, and I know who's doing the work here, and I know this is not going to get treated. So they put insulation in where the lowest delta is, and where the highest delta in insulation is needed, they don't put it. So it's kind of like putting on a jacket and then cutting the front of your jacket off and exposing your belly and your chest to the weather, although your back has, some insulation on it. So anyways, we'll take a quick walk around here. I'm going to take some photos, and then we'll throw those up, and we'll continue the chatter with some still photos and throw some numbers at you. So, but yeah, you can see, and of course this grades down because it's got to go down to the street there. So, and I'm not beating up on this builder in particular. What I'm beating up on is the industry, where when we say we need an insulated basement, just because we put insulation up against the foundation wall doesn't mean we have an insulated basement. So you can see it there. You can see the grade comes down. My guess is they're probably going to build this up a little and then just grade this down, because the street is right there. So it's I don't know, it's a very, very tough situation to see this kind of stuff going on, because obviously this tough and dry system is not an inexpensive system. So they're putting in a really good system. It's kind of like drafting the best quarterback in the draft and then playing them at tight end. You're kind of not doing we're not making the best choices. Anyways, there you have it. You can see we walked all the way around. You can see it ending there. So let's jump to a few photos and we'll take it from there. All right, back in the studio. So hopefully you enjoyed that quick trip around the site. Two things. One, I really did jump the fence. I know you're probably sitting there going, yeah, he just says that kind of junk. But in this case here, I actually did jump the fence. Second, I just want to make sure you guys understand my intention. My intention is not, I'm not trying to bash this builder. I'm not revealing his name, none of that, because that's immaterial. The point that I'm trying to make here is I see this a lot. I see this on a lot of residential homes. I see it on commercial buildings. And it's just, it checks off the boxes to the code, but it really doesn't solve a whole lot for the building science and the success of the building, right? So grabbed a couple photos. We're going to throw those up. We'll dissect them, analyze them a little bit more in depth in addition to the video, and try and make my point. I'm not a big advocate to insulate on the outside of a house. I prefer it on the inside, and you're going to find out why. Now, this project here, they could still have the option to insulate on the inside. I don't think they will, but I have seen a lot of houses that use this system and call it an insulated basement, and it's a failed approach. So let's dive into it. So we have the three photos there. Let's we'll talk about this one first here. And we'll go to the wider pen. You can see there's the top of the insulation right there. And I think that's where they're stopping because it kind of planes out with the grade there quite nicely. Now, the first problem with that is, let's go to this. If I graph this, and let's say we go down to the footing and then we go out, the graph is going to look like this, right? And actually there'd be a little speed bump in there, but I'm keeping it very, very simple. Inside the basement wants to be 70. Outside here could be 10 degrees. Down here is 55 degrees. Well, the delta there is only 15 degrees, right? So not a whole lot to get in a tizzy over. But the delta here is 60 degrees potentially. And it could be more. Could go below zero, could be to 10 below zero, could be an 80-degree delta. And the reality is that if I graph this here, right, where this is the size of the delta, where it's highest at the top, smallest at the bottom, you can see that the area from above grade is where we have the largest delta. And the insulation level is inversely proportional to where we need it, right? And that's always the case. We have a bunch of insulation down here, but as I go deeper, it's arguably I could need it less. As I go above here, I needed a hell of a lot more, right? You can see there. But I don't have it there in that last 30 inches. So, you know, almost a third of my foundation wall is uninsulated, but it's still referred to as an insulated basement because, oh, I got insulation out there. It's rigid fiberglass. It's 2 3/8 of an inch. So I have R10 continuous on the outside. Yeah, well, it's continuous up to grade, right? So that's kind of the first problem. If we go over to this photo and see, we have that insulation. It comes up, it stops there. We still have that 30-inch problem that I just talked about. But here, we know outside the wall here, we have more insulation running there. But we have all of this wall that has the ability to thermally transfer heat from the inside to the outside, from the inside to the garage. So it becomes a really big challenge, and it's not
even the fact that they stopped, even if they brought this insulation all the way up and did it up to here and ran it, well, you would still have that thermal bridge. And if you brought all of that insulation all the way up on the outside, then how do I stop this one, right? It just becomes a real challenge when I have an attached garage or screen and porch with a concrete foundation or outdoor space that is attached to the main part of the house or the house proper condition space, and I want to maintain thermal continuity. It is far easier to do that on the inside of the wall here and just trace around exactly where I need that insulation in my mind. Now, I know I have some people that I could drum up this argument on a daily basis with because they're diehard, got to insulate on the outside. Me, I don't quite understand it, right? And if I zoom over here, this is the one where you could see we have insulation here, but it stops right there. It stops right at the same line that inside is. So this is uninsulated. This is uninsulated there. And so that heat just has that path to escape through there very, very easily. It is a very hard detail to solve for and to get right. So anyways, driving by there a number of times, I said, I got to stop, shoot a video, and just have a really quick chat. So that's my quick chat. It's not a whole lot of magic to it. It's, could you stop this and put insulation across here and then frame that or do something there? Possibly, but man, that's a heck of a challenge. So that's the reason why I always advocate for it on the inside. But, there might be a time or two where we put it on the outside. I just haven't come up with that need. And actually, let's, we'll use this one, right? Even if we were to do it on the outside, what do I cover that wall with, right? If I bring that insulation up, what do I cover it with, right? Cement board, PVC, whatever. I mean, there's probably a bunch of materials. Some guys will say, oh, you should just use, metal, stock metal that you would use for bent metal around fascias and stuff like that. But that stuff, oil cans, if you do a cement board or something like that, it becomes a real challenge, especially, that's real easy if this dimension is 8 inches and it's a ranch in the middle of a field. But if you have any steps to it, grade changes, and this expands, then, that makes it even more complicated as to what do I face that with. As well as if I bring that insulation all the way up to here, I have this face here. Well, now I have to deal with termites and such that want to migrate up through there or on the inside of that. And how do I deal with them on the top of the wall? So there's a whole bunch of things to think about that kind of play in concert with the fact that we need to insulate the wall. So anyways, hopefully you enjoyed that. Just a really quick little, drive-by video of a project that I get to see come to life right in front of me. If I see anything else happen out there, I'll go back over there and shoot a video or two, and we can talk about it. But again, I'm not trying to beat up on this builder. Everybody's got to make decisions, and some builders are doing the best and some architects are doing the best they can do. They just don't have the full education that some of us have on some matters of building science or whatever. But that's why I'm putting this video out, to hopefully lift a few boats in the harbor. So anyways, if you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button, tell all your friends. I'm Steve Baczek, Architect. This is our drive-by video. Until next time, long live our buildings.